Hey, welcome to Minute History, where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is William Afton. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. William Afton, father of three, was a robo-expert that decided to get into the restaurant business with his friend Henry. Together, they opened Fredbear's Family Diner, where they serve pizza and use animatronics to drag in customers. For some reason, Willie decided to kill Henry's daughter. So, due to karma, his oldest son decided to be a little and get his little brother's head hydraulic pressed in a robo-bear's mouth. Fueled with rage, William decided that he wanted child murder to be his main career. Oh, and by the way, his daughter was killed by one of the robots that he designed to catch kids, but that doesn't really matter. He killed a lot of kids using a half-animatronic, half-suit to lure and kill kids. But the spirits of those kids came back to haunt him and caused him to hide in the double suit. Unfortunately, this suit turned from suit to animatronic while he was inside, crushing all of his bones. He then sat in an empty room for like 30 years until some dude found him and put him inside his horror attraction. There, he tried to kill the night guard until the place burned down. He escaped and wandered around until he found another pizza place that also burned down. This time, forcing his soul to move on. Into hell! Specifically, a personalized hell run by one of his murder victims. And time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Minute History, where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid franchise. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Johnny Lawrence was raised by a loving mother and abusive stepfather. Due to the abuse, he turned to karate to boost his confidence. At the badassly named Cobra Kai Dojo, he learned from Sensei John Kreese to strike first, strike hard, and show no mercy. While he trained, he met Allie Mills. They dated and eventually broke up. One summer, he saw Daniel LaRusso flirting with Allie. After some fights, the two decided to settle it at the All Valley tournament. There, Johnny would lose to Daniel in the final round. The parking lot after Kreese threw a fit and choked him out. Daniel Sensei stepped in and saved him, causing Johnny to never speak to him again. He then proceeded to party his way through college until meeting up with Shannon Keene. The two got together and had a son. He then drifted from job to job until ultimately getting fired from a home improvement league. Later, he met Miguel, a scrawny kid who convinced him to open his own dojo as a form of revenue. Taking his advice, Johnny would start a successful karate dojo and even win a tournament. However, this caused his old sensei to return, and after some disagreements, Kreese took over Johnny's business. Even worse, his best student was just paralyzed. So Johnny brought Miguel to a concert to heal his back and tried to make peace with Daniel, who's back. Then Johnny and Daniel convinced Kreese to settle the differences in the next All Valley. Johnny then started training his students for the next tournament. His dojo entered the All Valley and lost. He was last seen about to look for Miguel, who had just run away. And time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Minute History, where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is Brian Fury from the Tekken series. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Brian Fury was a respected soldier turned detective who died in a deadly Hong Kong shootout. His body was sent to this crazy guy named Dr. Abel, who brought him back to life. The doctor then forced him to steal some stuff from another doctor named Boskonovich, so he can build an army of robots. So Fury starts tracking the doctor down, and this leads him to this weird-looking samurai, forcing him to sneak into the third King of Fighters tournament to confront him. But while this all happened, Abel decided he didn't want to work on robots anymore, so he abandoned the project, along with Brian. And after the tournament ended, Brian realized that he's actually slowly dying, causing him to hate Dr. Abel. But his rage only made him stronger. Because he didn't have a lot of time left, he decided to enter the fourth King of Fighter tournament to get his revenge. He did, however, find and kill Dr. Abel. After that, Boskonovich from earlier told Brian that he could stop him from dying and make him more powerful in the process. Brian agreed and went through with the operation. It only half worked though, meaning he was still dying, but was more powerful. This just caused him to get angry and destroy the place. And at this point, he doesn't really care about anything, he just wants to create chaos. He enters the next KOF tournament to do just that. But then the samurai from earlier shows up to get revenge on Brian for destroying the science facility. Their fight eventually results in a tie, and Fury just ends up fighting in a bunch of battles across the world, spreading as much chaos as he can. And time. Hey everyone, happy May the 4th, and welcome back to Minute History. And oh boy, do we have a mouthful of information to get through today. But don't worry, as advertised, we'll make it through in just 1 minute. Today's subject is the big man himself, Darth Vader. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Anakin Skywalker was a slave who won a pod race for some Jedi, so they kidnapped him and started training him as their own. He trained a lot until one day he was given a job to protect this chick he had a crush on. He succeeded, but lost an arm in the process. He then started training this orange girl, but that's not important right now. While this was all happening, he was being manipulated by a dude named Sheev, who convinced him to murder his friends to save his dying wife. He did just that along with some kids for some extra points. This forced him to fight and lose to his master. Because of the battle damage, he was forced to equip a new suit, becoming Darth Vader. Oh yeah, and he kinda inadvertently killed his wife. He then did some jobs for the new Emperor of Space, such as killing a bunch of rebels and Jedi and being the coolest way to end a Star Wars game ever. He then reunited with his old master and defeated him, but then failed to protect his place of employment. Then his boss told him that he had a son named Luke, so he tried to convince him to join the family business. He declined, so Vader just ended up bringing him straight to his boss, but his son refused again and started fighting him. Vader lost and saw his boss killing Luke. He didn't like that, so he decided to throw Sheev down a hole and died, becoming Anakin again. And finally becoming one with the Force. And time. Oh yeah, and then his ghost talked to this Jedi chick from the future. And time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Minute History, the show where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, Go! Nathan Morgan was an orphan living in Boston with his brother Sam. One night, when breaking into a house to find their dead mom's stuff, they learned from the owner that their mom was researching a guy called Sir Francis Drake. But the owner had a heart attack, forcing them to run from the police. The two eventually decided to change their names to Nathan and Sam Drake to hide from the law. Years later, Nathan decided to go off on his own to find Sir Francis's ring. This led him to a guy named Sully, who would later become his best friend. Years later, Nate met back up with Sam, and the two of them kept looking for adventure and treasure. They met a rich guy named Rafe, and they infiltrated a prison to find the treasure of a pirate. Job went sideways, and Sam died, but Rafe and Nate managed to escape. Nathan then left Rafe to find jobs on his own. He did some smaller adventures before learning the location of Sir Francis Drake's coffin. He tricked a journalist named Elena into taking him there to find the empty coffin that only contained his journal. The journal actually showed the location of El Dorado, and he and Sully went off to find it. But he found out that the treasure was actually a cursed statue that turns you into a zombie. They left, and 3 years later, Nate and his ex-girlfriend Chloe searched for the lost city of Shambhala. But this Bane-looking guy came in and tried to steal the city's power. Nate escaped, and years later, Nate, Sully, Chloe, and this dude tried to find this lost city in the middle of the desert. They did and left, so Nate married Elena. But then it turned out that Sam was still alive and needed Nate's help to pay off his debt to a gangster. Nate agreed, and the two and Sully started looking for that pirate's treasure again. They found it, but Nate had to sword fight Rafe, who was still looking for it. Nate won and went on to have a daughter and live a happy life as a legal archaeologist. And time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Minute History, the show where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Frederick Charles Krueger was born in an insane asylum and given to an abusive parent which caused his psychotic behavior. He killed him, and as he grew up, he started killing a bunch of kids using a homemade finger knife glove, giving him the nickname the Springwood Slasher. He had a wife and kid, but he murdered the wife, and the kid was set up for adoption. He eventually got caught, but somebody forgot to sign a legal doc, so he got set free. The parents of the dead kids got mad, so they burned him alive. But before he died, these weird-looking demons decided to give him dream powers for some reason. So wanting revenge, Freddy started killing the kids of Springwood in their dreams. He eventually got to this girl named Nancy, but she ignored him, and he temporarily lost his powers. But Freddy finds this kid he wants to possess for some reason, but is ultimately defeated through the power of love or something. Years later, Freddy realizes Nancy is back, and he tries to kill her and her friends. He succeeds in killing her, but then gets killed by holy water. But a dog pees on him, so he gets brought back to life. He kills all of the kids who fought him last time and a few more, but then gets killed when he looks in a mirror. He then uses his mom's ghost to come back to life, and he starts corrupting an unborn kid. But the kid's dream ghost or something betrays him, and his mom's ghost captures him. But he escaped, and years later, Freddy managed to kill every child in Springwood except for one. He used the last one to bring in more people, but he realized that one of the new people was actually his daughter from before. He tried to bring her to his side, but she refused and killed him. While stuck in hell, the only way for him to come back was for people to fear him again. He found another killer, so he tricked him into coming back to life and killing people on his turf. But he did too well, and he got jealous, so they fought, and Freddy lost. And time. Hey, welcome back to Minute History, the show where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is Theodore from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Theodore was a chipmunk living in a tree with his two brothers. While living there, he somehow learned to sing. And sometime when he was young, he fell out of the tree, which caused his lack of intelligence. Years later, the tree was cut down and brought to a music studio. He escaped by hitching a ride on a guy named Dave's Muffin Basket and was brought to his house. Him and his brothers revealed themselves to Dave and showed to him that they can sing. Theodore and his brothers are taken back to the music studio to sing to producer Ian, but they get stage fright. But Theo and his bros felt bad, so they ended up singing to Ian anyway. Ian ends up making Theo and the others famous, but abuses them in the process. This causes them to stay with Dave and leave Ian for good. Years later, Theo performs the concert when his brother causes an accident that injures Dave. Dave then forces the chipmunks to go to school. At school, Theodore meets a female chipmunk named Eleanor, and they instantly fall in love. But Theo feels like school is tearing his family apart and runs away to the zoo. He gets attacked by an eagle, but is saved by his bros. Then he and his brothers learn that the female chipmunks are being abused by Ian. They rescue them and start living together. Later, Theodore and his family go on a cruise, but his brother somehow causes them to get stranded on an island. They try to survive on it, but are ultimately saved by Ian and Dave. Years later, Theodore and his brothers learn that Dave is going to marry the mother of a kid he doesn't like, so they go on a road trip to stop that from happening. But it turns out that Dave wasn't going to marry her, and Theodore lives happily ever after with his brothers. And time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Minute History, the show where we try to tell a character story in 1 minute. Today's subject is Raiden from the Metal Gear Solid series. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Jack, no last name given, was a Liberian child whose parents were killed by a soldier during the country's civil war. There, he was adopted and raised as a child soldier and earned the nickname Jack the Ripper by having the highest kill count as well as being an expert with blades. After the war ended, Jack was taken to the United States by a shadowy organization. There, he joined the military, and while on a trip to New York, he met Rose, and the two got together. Years later, Jack was recruited by an org called Foxhound to infiltrate an oil rig called Big Shell to save the president from terrorists. There, he got the codename Raiden, and throughout the mission, he teamed up with another soldier called Solid Snake and learned that Foxhound didn't exist and was actually an AI created by the Patriots, which was the shadowy org from before. He also learned that the leader of the terrorists' name was Solidus Snake, and he was the one who killed his parents and adopted him. Raiden then gets a sword and defeats him before leaving with Rose. Raiden then goes off to fight the Patriots some more and ends up saving the squirrel before eventually breaking up with Rose. Raiden was then captured by the Patriots and given a cyborg body. He escaped and went to look for Snake. He found him and helped him in his fight against his twin brother Liquid. After that, he got back with Rose and joined a security company. This led him to discover that a Colorado senator was trying to create more war to end war. He ends up defeating him and his goons, and after all of that, he goes off to fight in many more battles to come. And time. Hey everyone, I can't believe that it's already been an entire year since I posted my first video on this channel, and I find it even harder to believe that in that time span I went from 0 to over 1.6 thousand subscribers. All I can say now is just thank you so much for you all supporting this channel. And I know I haven't made a Minute History in a while, but who knows, maybe I'll bring it back if someone out there wants it. And as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like it if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, and I'll see you next time.